Is your automatic car breaking down without you even knowing it? The truth is, most drivers make common mistakes every single day that silently destroy their transmissions, wear out their engines, and eventually cost them thousands in repairs. And the worst part? Many of these habits feel completely harmless. In this video, we're revealing 21 things you should never do in an automatic car. These are the small daily mistakes that add up to big problems, the dangerous habits that can leave you stranded, and the costly errors mechanics see over and over again. Stick around until the very end, because number one on this list is so common that even experienced drivers are guilty of it. And after that, I'll share a bonus tip that could save you from one of the most expensive repairs any car owner will ever face. Let's get started. Number 21 is one you've probably done without even realizing it. Resting your foot on the brake. It might feel harmless to let your left foot hover over the brake pedal, or even rest lightly on it while driving. But what you may not realize is that this small habit quietly destroys your braking system and confuses everyone around you. Here's why. Even the slightest pressure on the brake pedal causes the pads to make constant contact with the rotors. That friction generates heat, and overheated brakes wear out much faster than they should. Over time, this means warped rotors, glazed pads, and a car that doesn't stop the way it's supposed to when you really need it. And there's another problem, your brake lights. If you're constantly riding the brake, the drivers behind you see flashing brake lights when you're not actually slowing down. That false signal can lead to frustration, hesitation, and even rear-end collisions. The fix is simple. Train yourself to drive with only your right foot, and keep it on the gas or the brake, not both. It's safer, easier on your car, and it'll save you from expensive brake jobs down the road. And next up, we have number 20, ignoring transmission warning lights. That little light on your dashboard isn't a suggestion. It's your car screaming for attention. Too many drivers shrug it off, thinking it's nothing urgent. But here's the truth. Ignoring a transmission warning light is one of the fastest ways to turn a minor problem into a financial nightmare. Most of the time, that light means your transmission is overheating, slipping, or running low on fluid. At first, you might just notice delayed shifts or a little hesitation when accelerating. But left unchecked, those small symptoms quickly snowball into major damage. Burnt clutches, worn gears, and eventually total transmission failure. And when that happens, you're not talking about a quick fix. You're staring down the barrel of a $3,000 to $4,000 rebuild, maybe more depending on your car. The fix? Don't gamble. If that light comes on, pull over, check your fluid levels, and get the system inspected before it escalates. Transmission problems only get worse the longer you wait, and they're not the kind of repairs you want sneaking up on you. And moving on, we've got number 19, revving in neutral before shifting to drive. It might feel fun, revving the engine at a red light and then slamming it into drive like you're lining up for a drag race. But what you're really doing is sending a shockwave of raw power straight into your torque converter and transmission. Here's why it's so destructive. When you rev in neutral, your engine is free spinning, building RPMs with no resistance. The second you throw it into drive, all that stored power has to be absorbed by the torque converter instantly. It's like dropping a giant weight onto a trampoline, violent, jarring, and guaranteed to cause damage over time. This repeated abuse overheats transmission fluid, wears down clutch packs, and weakens internal components until one day, instead of a hard launch, you're left with slipping gears and a hefty repair bill. And trust me, no race is worth a $2,000 to $3,000 transmission replacement. The smart move? If you want strong acceleration, do it the right way. Gradually build RPMs while already in gear. Smooth power delivery keeps your transmission alive and your wallet intact. Next up, at number 18, turning the wheel while parked. A lot of drivers do this without thinking, cranking the wheel left and right while sitting still, trying to squeeze into a tight space. But this habit, known as dry steering, is brutal on your car. When you turn the wheel while parked, your front tires are grinding against the pavement with full resistance. That extra friction wears them down unevenly, shortening their lifespan and forcing you into early replacements. But it's not just the tires that suffer. Your steering rack, tie rods, and power steering pump are all under maximum strain when the car isn't moving. Over time, that strain translates into leaks, sloppy steering, and expensive repairs. The fix couldn't be easier. Let the car roll just a little before turning the wheel. Even a slow crawl takes the pressure off the tires and steering system, giving you smoother control and a suspension that lasts years longer. Rolling into number 17. Coasting downhill in neutral. Some drivers think it's a clever fuel-saving hack. Just slip the car into neutral and let gravity do the work. But the truth? It's one of the most dangerous things you can do in an automatic. The moment you shift into neutral, you give up engine braking. That means your brakes are forced to handle all the work of slowing you down on a descent. Push them too hard, and they overheat, fade, and suddenly can't stop you when you need them most. And here's the kicker. In modern cars, coasting in gear actually shuts off fuel injectors entirely. In other words, you burn less fuel staying in gear than you do in neutral. So instead of saving gas, you're wasting fuel and cooking your brakes. The smart move is to stay in gear, use engine braking, and let your transmission do what it was designed for, keeping you in control. And now, we're at number 16. Shifting between reverse and drive while moving. It might feel like a harmless shortcut. You're backing out of a parking spot, the car's still rolling, and instead of fully stopping, you throw it straight into drive. Saves a second, right? Wrong. That 1 second could shave years off your transmission's life. Here's why. When you switch gears on the move, your transmission has to slam on the brakes inside the drivetrain while forcing it to spin in the opposite direction. Imagine running full speed, then instantly trying to sprint backwards. Your body would collapse. Inside your car, it's the CV joints, universal joints, and torque converter that take that brutal impact. At first, you might just hear a clunk or feel a little jolt, but repeat the habit often, and those small shocks turn into serious internal damage. You'll go from smooth shifts to jerks, slipping gears, and eventually a catastrophic failure that can cost $3,000 to $5,000 to rebuild. The fix is dead simple. Always bring your car to a complete stop before shifting directions. It takes an extra moment, but it saves you from months of headaches and a drained bank account. And now, at number 15. Driving on low fuel. Most of us have done it, running the tank down to E just to squeeze in one more trip. But in an automatic car, this habit is one of the quickest ways to damage your fuel system. Here's the problem. Your fuel pump sits inside the tank and relies on gasoline for cooling and lubrication. When you run too low, the pump is exposed and starts overheating, grinding itself to an early death. A replacement fuel pump can easily set you back $600 to $1,200. But it gets worse. Over time, dirt, rust, and sediment settle at the bottom of your tank. When you're running on fumes, your car starts sucking up that debris straight into the fuel filter and injectors. Clogged injectors mean poor performance, rough idling, and even stalling. In older cars with metal tanks, rust particles make the problem 10 times worse. So, while it might feel like you're saving time or money by delaying that gas stop, in reality, you're risking thousands in repairs. The smarter move? Never let your tank drop below a quarter full. It keeps your pump cool, your injectors clean, and your transmission shifting smoothly. And next at number 14, launching like a race car at green lights. We've all seen it. The light turns green, and someone floors it like they're on the starting line at Daytona. It might look cool, but for your automatic transmission, it's one of the fastest ways to shorten its life. When you slam the gas from a dead stop, your transmission fluid heats up instantly and loses its ability to properly lubricate. That sudden surge also slams the torque converter and clutch packs with extreme pressure, cooking them from the inside out. Over time, those violent launches lead to slipping gears, overheating, and even complete transmission failure. And it's not just the transmission. Engine mounts, axles, and even suspension components all take a beating when the car jolts forward with maximum force. That fun habit can turn into a string of costly repairs you didn't see coming. The truth is, daily driving isn't a drag strip. If you want your transmission to last, save the hard launches for the track. On the street, smooth acceleration not only keeps your car healthy, it also keeps your wallet a lot happier. Coming in at number 13, resting your hand on the gear lever, it might feel natural, one hand on the wheel, the other casually resting on the shifter. But this comfort habit is slowly doing damage you can't see. For starters, that extra weight puts constant pressure on the bushings and linkages inside the mechanism. These parts are designed for smooth, precise movement, not for holding up your arm day after day. Over time, the added strain wears them out, leaving you with sloppy, imprecise gear changes. And the risk doesn't stop there. A bump in the road or a sudden jolt could cause your hand to nudge the lever into neutral, or worse, into another gear at the wrong time. That can mean a sudden loss of power, unpredictable handling, or even dangerous situations in traffic. It's a habit that seems harmless, but ends up being costly and risky. The fix? Keep both hands where they belong, on the wheel. Your gearbox will thank you, and so will your repair budget. Next up, number 12, skipping warm-ups in freezing weather. When it's below freezing, your car feels it just as much as you do. The problem is that transmission fluid thickens in the cold. Instead of flowing smoothly and coating the gears, clutches, and bearings, it moves like molasses. That means the first few minutes you're on the road, your transmission is grinding, shifting harshly, and wearing down parts that should be gliding effortlessly. It's a silent killer most drivers never notice. Those rough cold starts slowly shave years off your transmission's lifespan. And here's the kicker. Every time you accelerate with cold, thick fluid, you're creating tiny amounts of metal-on-metal contact. Over time, that builds up into hard shifts, slipping gears, and eventually a repair bill that could run into the thousands. But the solution is ridiculously simple. Give your car 30 to 60 seconds to idle before driving off in freezing weather. That little bit of patience allows the fluid to warm, circulate properly, and cushion the moving parts. You'll feel smoother shifts right away, and you'll be protecting one of the most expensive components in your car for the long run. Think of it like stretching before a workout. You wouldn't go sprinting on stiff, frozen muscles, and your transmission shouldn't either. Moving on to number 11, using the wrong transmission fluid. This mistake sounds small, but it's one of the fastest ways to ruin your transmission. Not all transmission fluids are the same. Each one has a specific formula of friction modifiers, detergents, and additives designed for that exact transmission. Pour in the wrong one, and suddenly your gears don't get the right lubrication, heat builds up, and shifting becomes rough or unpredictable. At first, you might just notice a little hesitation between gears, but over time, the wrong fluid breaks down seals, causes clutches to slip, and can even lead to total transmission failure. And when that happens, you're not talking about a quick $100 fix. You're looking at a rebuild or replacement that could cost anywhere from $3,000 to $6,000. The scary part? Some fluids are so similar that they seem interchangeable, but they're not. For example, manufacturers like Chrysler or Honda require very specific blends. Use a generic substitute, and you're basically putting poison into your car's veins. The fix couldn't be easier. Always check your owner's manual and only use the fluid that's recommended for your car. Spending an extra $20 on the right fluid today is a lot cheaper than a $5,000 bill tomorrow. And next up, number 10, riding the brakes on hills instead of using low gear. This is one of those mistakes that feels harmless in the moment, but it's quietly destroying your braking system every time you do it. When you're heading downhill, especially on a long slope, most drivers instinctively keep their foot on the brake to control their speed. The problem? Brakes aren't designed for constant heavy pressure like that. The heat builds up fast, pads start to glaze, rotors can warp, and before you know it, your stopping power is cut in half. In extreme cases, this can even lead to brake fade, where your pedal goes soft and your brakes stop working altogether. Imagine losing braking power in the middle of a steep descent. That's not just costly, it's flat out dangerous. The fix is simple. Use your transmission, shift into a lower gear before you start the descent, and let engine braking slow the car for you. The engine is built to handle that resistance all day long, and it keeps your brakes cool and ready for when you really need them. This is exactly why truckers rely on engine braking when hauling thousands of pounds down mountain roads. It's the only way to avoid smoking brakes and runaway disasters. So don't just ride your brakes and hope for the best. Downshift. Control your speed with the engine, and you'll extend the life of your brakes, save hundreds in repairs, and most importantly, keep yourself safe when gravity is working against you. And rolling into number 9, using cruise control in rain or snow. Cruise control is one of those features that feels like it makes driving easier, and in good conditions it does, but in bad weather, it can turn into a trap. Here's why. When you're driving in heavy rain, snow, or even on icy roads, there's always the risk of hydroplaning or losing traction. If you're on cruise control and your tires suddenly lose grip, the system doesn't know to ease off the throttle. It keeps pushing forward at the exact same speed. That's how a harmless skid can instantly become a full-blown loss of control. And it's not just about the car, it's about you as the driver. When you've got cruise control on, you're less engaged. Your reaction times slow down because your foot isn't already on the pedal, ready to respond. Those few split seconds can make all the difference between catching a skid and sliding off the road. The fix? Keep cruise control for dry highways and safe conditions. When the weather turns nasty, it's your reflexes that matter, not an automated system. Drive with full control, adjust your speed manually, and give yourself room to react. That's how you keep yourself, your passengers, and everyone else on the road safe. Next up, number 8, overloading the car with cargo, or towing too much. Your car might feel tough, but every vehicle has limits, and pushing past them is one of the fastest ways to destroy both your transmission and suspension. When you cram in too much weight or hook up a trailer that's too heavy, your transmission has to work overtime. The fluid overheats, gears grind harder, and before long, you're dealing with slipping shifts or even total failure. And let's not forget your suspension. Struts, shocks, and bushings weren't designed to carry double loads. They sag, wear unevenly, and your handling becomes unpredictable. It doesn't just hurt the car either, it's a safety risk. Overloading means longer braking distances, more sway when towing, and a much higher chance of losing control in an emergency. The fix is simple, but often ignored. Know your vehicle's payload and towing capacity, and stay within it. If you need to haul more, use the right vehicle, or add proper upgrades like heavy-duty cooling systems. Because once your transmission burns out from being overworked, the repair bill will make you wish you'd left that extra load behind. Coming in at number 7, overusing sport mode. Sure, sport mode makes your car feel more alive. Quicker throttle response, higher revs, sharper shifts. But using it all the time is like running a marathon every day. Your engine is constantly spinning higher than it needs to, which means more friction, more heat, and faster wear on vital parts. Your transmission isn't spared either. Those aggressive gear changes put extra strain on clutches, torque converters, and mounts. And then there's the fuel economy. Sport mode guzzles gas compared to normal driving. What feels like fun on your daily commute could quietly be draining your wallet and shaving years off your car's lifespan. The fix? Save sport mode for when it makes sense, like overtaking, spirited drives, or open highways. For everyday traffic, let your car relax in normal mode. You'll still get where you're going, but without the hidden costs, sport mode sneaks in. And at number 6, taking only short trips. Quick runs to the store or school drop-offs might seem harmless, but they're one of the most damaging habits for an automatic car. Here's why. Engines and transmissions are designed to operate at a specific temperature where oil flows smoothly, fuel burns clean, and components stay lubricated. But on short trips, your car never gets there. Instead, oil stays thick and contaminated. Moisture builds up inside the crankcase and exhaust, and unburned fuel dilutes your oil. Over time, this leads to sludge buildup, rust in the exhaust system, and increased wear on the transmission because the fluid never properly circulates. The fix? Take your car for a longer drive at least once a week. 10 to 15 miles is usually enough to burn off condensation, circulate fresh oil, and let everything stretch its legs. It's simple maintenance most drivers overlook, but it's one of the easiest ways to keep your car healthy for the long haul. Next up at number 5, ignoring creep mode in traffic. Automatic cars are designed with a feature called creep mode, that gentle forward movement you get when you release the brake without touching the gas. It's perfect for heavy traffic, parking maneuvers, or inching along in a line. But too many drivers ignore it and instead ride the brakes constantly, tapping them every few seconds to stay in control. The problem? That habit chews through brake pads, overheats rotors, and makes your ride jerky instead of smooth. Over time, it even reduces your stopping power in emergencies because overheated brakes lose effectiveness. The smarter move is to let creep mode do the work. Ease off the brake, let the car glide, and only tap the pedal when you actually need to slow down. Not only will it make traffic less stressful, but it'll also save you money on brake jobs you didn't need to pay for. At number 4, we've got Misusing manual mode. A lot of modern automatics give you the option to shift manually, and it feels great, like you've got full control of the car. But here's the catch. If you don't know what you're doing, you can actually damage your transmission faster than just leaving it in drive. Downshifting too aggressively at high speeds puts massive stress on the transmission and can even cause sudden deceleration or wheel lock, which is dangerous in traffic. On the other end, holding a gear too long means your engine is screaming at redline, generating unnecessary heat and wearing out clutches and fluid far quicker than normal. Manual mode is a useful tool when used correctly, like descending a steep hill or overtaking with more control, but it's not a toy. If you treat it like one, you're setting yourself up for overheating, rough shifts, and some very expensive repairs. At number 3, starting the car in the wrong gear. Your car should only start in park or neutral. If it cranks in drive or reverse, something's wrong, and it can turn dangerous fast. A worn or misadjusted neutral safety switch, also called the transmission range sensor, or sloppy shifter linkage, can trick the system into thinking you're in the park when you're not. The result? A sudden lurch the moment the engine fires, right into a wall, a garage door, or, worst case, a person. Early clues include a gear indicator that doesn't line up with the actual gear, reverse lights flickering at the wrong time, or needing to jiggle the shifter to start. Don't ignore them. The fix: always double-check the shifter is firmly in park. Set the parking brake before starting, and press the brake pedal fully. If the car ever attempts to start in gear, stop driving and get it inspected. You may need a new neutral safety switch, a shifter cable adjustment, or bushing replacements. It's a straightforward repair that prevents a very expensive and dangerous mistake. At number 2, turning off the car before fully stopping. It might feel harmless to cut the ignition while rolling into a parking spot or coasting to a stop, but this is one of the sneakiest ways to hurt your automatic car. When you shut the engine off, the transmission pump loses pressure instantly. If the drivetrain is still under load, momentum pushing the car forward, your transmission components are forced to grind and lock without lubrication or proper disengagement. This puts heavy stress on the parking pawl, the small metal pin that locks the transmission when you park. If it slams into place while the car is still moving, it can chip, bend, or even snap, leaving your car unable to stay in park. Worst case, it leads to a complete transmission teardown, which is no small bill. The fix is simple. Always come to a complete stop before shutting off the engine or shifting into park. Let the drivetrain relax first. Your transmission and your wallet will thank you. Finally, at number 1, ignoring fluid leaks under the car. This is the single most dangerous mistake automatic car owners make because it starts small and ends in disaster. A little red or brown drip on the driveway might not look like much, but that's your transmission's lifeblood. Automatic transmission fluid, ATF, is what keeps everything cool, lubricated, and shifting smoothly. Ignore even a slow leak, and your fluid level drops lower and lower until gears start slipping, overheating, and grinding themselves apart. What could have been a $50 seal replacement suddenly becomes a $4,000 transmission rebuild. And here's the worst part. Once the damage is done, there's no reversing it. The fix: never ignore puddles or drips under your car. Check fluid levels regularly, keep an eye on your driveway, and if you see anything suspicious, get it handled immediately. Catch it early, and it's cheap. Wait too long, and it's game over for your transmission. And there you have it, 21 things you should never do in an automatic car. Avoid these habits and your transmission, brakes, and engine will thank you with years of extra life. But here's the thing. Not making mistakes is only half the battle. The other half? Knowing the hidden tricks that can actually save you thousands of dollars in repairs every single year. That's exactly what I cover in my next video. 17 car repair secrets that will save you over $2,000 every year. These are the insider tips mechanics don't want you to know, and they'll put real money back in your pocket. Click here to watch it now and start saving before your next trip to the shop.